Right.
When there's no shared, it manifests itself very soon. With me and the Mason, Atina shared understanding of what C2C is.
Okay, what is C2C, sir?
It's the same. That's right now. This conversation, it's between peer to peer. It is between two individuals, and the C2C is just recognition of the structure of life that we live in communities. We are complementary.
Right.
We are diverse, and I don't have to know everything. But if I'm in a community, it becomes more convenient to know who is a doctor, who is a lawyer, who is a good one, because someone may have been exposed to a good doctor.
Right. So is C2C is like a port of ideas and thoughts?
No, it's just one. When two or more come together, the two, when they have a common objective, let's say it's learning, mentorship. Then we can group ourselves into a community of learners. The discipline of learning, the discipline of listening, the discipline of knowing how to organize to learn more.
And what if they contradict each other? What if your philosophies and your statements they do not resonate with me?
No, that's why it's the dog will bark, you keep going where you are going. But if we agree that we are going to have a conversation for 15 minutes, use the 15 minutes to learn to draw as much like a tick. Than for you to use the 15 minutes to now start arguing about things that may not have an answer.
Right.
And how much time do we spend talking about Zimbabwe and we can't change anything?
What I have observed, and I'm going to talk personally from my personal perception, Mr. Mawere, when they come to a platform, a public platform, they're always there to prove a point. Not actually to make something, but no, what you're saying, I'm going to prove you wrong. Instead of
not one, but imagine you are the first one to change that, to sing Amazing Grace and say, I was once blind, now let me try it. Then let's see what way it takes you. But when you start talking about Vanu, then we can never cure it, because you are excluding yourself from those people while you are including yourself from those people. Yet you have the power to change your ways. You are the person in the mirror.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something, sir. This platform of ours, I'm not gonna say your platform is yours, like you remind me. A platform of ours is a shared community. Why I like here about the negotiation, in the last time in my town there's a cryptocurrency and we were talking about Bitcoin. Sometimes we're talking there's a politics and all of that. My expertise, I don't know anything about Bitcoin. I don't know anything about cryptocurrency. I don't know nothing about politics. I don't know anything about the constitution. But what I do know is metaphysics and esoteric knowledge. So that I can bring forward what I know.
No, I'm saying that's another. First is what is knowledge sharing in this digital age? And then we go there. Then you say, okay, Mkwama, you're saying Mawere is your mentor. But are you mentorable, if there's a term like that?
Yes.
Because if you already know where you are going, you don't need anyone else. But by you being able to be mentored, it means by now we'll have a community that involves Mason.
But are you open to this idea, Mr. Mabore, that the mentee can question the mentor? Are you open to that idea?
No, I'm open. I'm saying is the question is I have to learn what a mentee is and a mentor so that I take the maximum minutes because it's time measured.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't stop you from being a mentor yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I have 24 hours. It means there's a time to learn. Let's say the question I've raised now. What is leadership?
Yeah.
You give me your understanding. And I give you my understanding. Then at the end of the day, you still decide what you want to do with the alternative thinking. You can still default to the way you think. Nobody can stop you. But if we say, on average, the conversations I'm exposed to, if I wrote here and got Mnanga Gwaidodi, I get a lot of followers who tell me about the president without knowing what the president actually does. So if I say, is a president a leader? You know how many people think a president is a leader?
Are you asking me a question, Mr. Boyle?
Yeah, even just if you ask, is a president a leader? This is show number one. Is a president or prime minister a leader? If so, how can one qualify to be a leader?
That's a very, very broad topic, and it's a wider topic that deserves so many philosophical questions. Because what do you define a leader, and what defines leadership?
And you have already introduced you have introduced something. What is a philosophical question?
A philosophical question is when you question what's been presented to you, and you examine the question. That's what a philosophical question is.
No, no. If a transgender comes to you, you ask a philosophical question.
And what will be the question, sir? What will be the question, sir?
No, I'm saying is a transgender, somebody who is a man is a woman by choice. Yeah. And then you want to have sex with this person.
Right. Okay. That's a very good question.
Is it a philosophical question or just a discovery question?
Well, for me, it's both. Because I'm going to ask you what is gender and what is sex.
Yeah, I'm saying that's not a philosophical. Because you are just asking whether we have a shared understanding.
Well, exactly.
Because to be philosophical is to stay detached and thoughtful in the face of a setback. To approach a tough situation in a level-headed way, but we are. I may not be level-headed. I'm just asking. I just need to understand. Like for this, for people who are joining or listening, I was talking to Mason, and what we're trying to do is to find this idea of convergence on a number of issues that are contestable. One such issue is leadership. What is it? Does it exist? If it does exist, in what form? And does a shared understanding exist? Or ignorance divides us? When you think of a person like a president, do you regard that person as a leader or as a person of flesh and a mortal and fatal being, fallible being, a person who can also make mistakes in thought and in action. So who is to lead? And
in his book.
Okay.
In his book, Common Sense and the Rights of Man, Thomas Paine, and he wrote, and a quote, he said, a government is a contract between the people who've been put in power and the people who are led, and they have to have an agreed contract. Like, this is what I want you to lead me, and this is how I
But now you are becoming detached. Here we can say we share a common heritage. And today the president of the country is President Mnangagwa. Some say is illegitimate because the people who elected him were less than the people who elected the number 2. Some people say Chamisa got more votes than what Mnangagwa got. But
do they have facts, though? Do they have facts to say?
No, I'm not asking I'm just saying that's what the allegations are first, so that we understand where the challenge is. One would say you are not a leader because I don't believe you legitimately acquired the right to be a leader. Then I go to the Constitution of Zimbabwe in search of this idea. The idea is that a leader is a person who can lead the people he represents to somewhere where they want to go. They are not yet there. So,
Mr. Mawele, what's your definition of a leader?
I'm saying is that what is there, my definition is what I'm trying to provoke people to think about. Does a leader exist?
No, Mr. Mawele, you're not answering my question, sir. I said, what's your definition of a leader?
No, that's what I'm saying is I don't have a definition because I've been battling to identify what this animal is or is not. So the reason for coming here even to add Mkwama Simba to this conversation is simply to be able to provoke thought about what a leader is and what a leader is not. So I don't come here with any expertise or any better knowledge. But what I do know is that the people we call leaders are themselves human beings of flesh. And they are mortal, they die like all of us. And they also make mistakes like all of us. So when I expect another human being to do that which I want to be done, then I'm setting myself up for something different. So, so if we have a shared understanding or wisdom around this question of leadership, what is it, what it is not, then perhaps we may find a way to build bridges.
In your opinion, Mr. Mabwebe, do you think your definition or description of leadership is it a shared consensus to the?
I've not described anything. I've said I don't know. So if somebody knows what a leader is, then I'm open to listening because I don't know as a person. What I know is human beings like me who are limited by time, limited by the operation of the blueprint of life, which doesn't give you more than 2 eyes, if you can see, or 2 ears, if you can hear, or a voice, if you can speak. Not all human beings have those gifts together, but they are human beings. So I don't know what a leader is and how that person can best be selected among people who may be pursuing their personal interest, but actually represent themselves to be representing a public interest. So I don't know.
In your opinion, Mr. Mawewe, do you think we can come at a later stage to a consensus, a description, a universal consensus description of what leadership is? Do you think we can approach that?
Not we. I'm saying is that you and I are the only 2 people who are speaking here. So not the rest. So I don't wish to arrive at a consensus, but what I do encourage is to have a battle of ideas. Those who believe leadership exists would then be on one side. Those who
I'm gonna go deeper with you, sir. What's your ideal leadership? What's your ideal leader and leadership?
You're already displaying signs of also not. What have I said about leadership? I said I don't know. So if I don't know, then if you respect my answer, then you say okay. But for the purpose of educating each other, I will take the position that leadership exists and I know who is a leader. Then we can then look at that person.
You can't say leadership exists if you don't know what leadership is, sir.
No, I'm saying that I don't know, but somebody may say they know. So I am yet to learn from somebody.
Who is that somebody?
That's why we are here in the public terrain, to be able to talk to people who may have confronted this idea and blame somebody and say, you are a leader, I look up to you, and you have disappointed me because I expect a leader to behave in this manner. So there are many people with different expectations and I don't know them. So the whole purpose of this mentorship program is to build a community around this idea called leadership, so that those with different views, those with better knowledge of what a leader or a skilled leader does or doesn't do, they can also share. So I am here with Mason for the sole purpose of provoking, igniting, and inspiring a conversation, but in a structured manner. Those who believe that leadership does exist, they can be on the left side. Just say, yes, it does exist. Those who believe it doesn't exist or have question marks and they wish to learn what are the properties on what the properties of a leader is and the properties of no leader is, assuming that we agree that a leader does exist in the form of a human being. But so far, I don't know as a person. So I don't want to speak on behalf of others who know better and whose expectations are closer to the reality.
I love your answer. I love your answer, Mr. Mawewe, because I don't know if you studied Greek history. In Greek, there were so many philosophers, and they used to meet up in what we call philosophical halls. And basically, they used to debate, and at the end of the conversation, they used to shake hands these Greek philosophers, and they'll be like, I did not win this conversation. I did not win this debate. Thank you for telling me I did not know. Thank you for teaching me something I did not know. There were no winners or losers. It's all about learning. So that's what basically what life is. It's a learning curve.
That's right. But, so the other danger you first mentioned, the more you use the word philosophy, you are already creating tribalism.
How is that, sir?
Because there are some people who are just organic thinkers. And the moment critical thinking or positive thinking is limited to philosophy, then some will feel less qualified to comment. Because let's democratize thought. Those who think a leader exists, just step forward. And somebody says, I think leadership is a construct. I believe it exists. So Moses move. And I hope, Moses, you are now a member of C2C so that we build you as the person who believes. And then we can test what your belief is based on. Is it based on gossip? Based on rumor? Superstition? Illiteracy? Deficiency of thought? Or it's based on naivety? So, Moses, let us ask the question again. Penny, Mandewa Moyo, MM, says all the above. You know what lazy thinkers say, you know, Mason. They just say all the above.
Yeah.
Moses, we are here to provoke thought and ideas, not all the above. Because what I've said came from my own head, not yours. Please, can you elucidate? Munyasho Nai says, I think leadership exists. Think. Yeah, when you finish thinking, Munya, tell us if it exists and what informs your conclusion. Because
Mr. Mawere, is it possible to bring Moses or Munya to come forward?
That's what I'm provoking them, so that they can come forward and share. So we now have two who believe it exists. And Mr. Mawere ashandike naye. Then aishandika aizo dzao kukutaura mapengero ako. Mawere is an opportunist. Atowana nzira yokuzodya newe. I don't know what that. Mawere ashandike naye. So that's somebody's a conclusion is now about Mawere, and I'm not sure where I'm supposed to work. He doesn't want to talk about leadership. You know, there are people who come here to play the person and not to play the issues.
But the thing is, Mr. Mawere, there's no point of making a reckless statement if you're not going to quantify your statement. You know the word quantify. You know what I mean? Expand your statement. There's no point in Mr. Mawere have said the level. Mr. Mawere is the opportunist. Whatever. Quantify your statement. What are you saying? What exactly are we saying?
Perhaps I went into his dreams and sought an opportunity from him that he believes he's got locusts to talk about. Because there are many people who think they have jurisdiction to be judges. Whatever you do,
right,
they bark like dogs. and the person cannot show up for what is being discussed. Munya and Moses, they are commenting on the subject that is there. But there are people who come here to divert attention. Where there's two or more people, one has to lead. Now we get Munya Shonai. A leader has followers who follow the leader's vision. What if people are like flies? They follow the meat. How does the meat know who is following? How does somebody who is an individual with 2 ears? Please, Masimba Online, please for us. And somebody says, Masimba, come, we want to enjoy Masimba. And you can talk to him directly, but here I have Mason. So Mason, Penny says, I don't want to hear anything from you. What should be your response? Did you come here for Masimba?
I did not come here for Mukoma Masimba. As much as I love and respect him, I came here on my own feet, in my own data, in my own time, in my own conscience. So I did not come for anybody. I'm here for myself.
All right. And Moses says it's like believing in God. Now a leader is now a new God according to Moses. So I might argue, based on empirical evidence, that life is all due to evolution. However, a lot of good and bad has been done in the name of this God. I'm not sure what that is. Then he says, so whether or not there's a God, there still is a God. So I'm not sure whether it's answering on that.
Mr. Mabwe, can you ask him Moses, my brother Moses, can you ask him what does he mean empirical evidence?
I think he's listening. I don't know. He's introducing too many variables. Now we're talking about God in relation to the affairs of a human being. So I think
talking about governance. We're talking about governance and we're talking about leadership. But if you want to diversify the conversation to empirical evidence and God and everything, so he needs to quantify what does it mean by God and what does it mean by empirical evidence. If you can come forward and answer those questions, please.
Yeah. So I think we are already in the 2 minutes left on this question of leadership. So would you care to sum up so that this one leaves as a provocation?
Right. In my own understanding, are you asking me, Mr. Mawere?
Yeah.
Right. In my own understanding, a leader is somebody who has been put up to represent the wishes and the desires of the community. When you are put up as a leader, you are absolutely a servant of the people. That's where democracy, if you're going to study, democracy started from Egypt. And the democracy, basically, you are put in a position of power representing the wishes and the desires of the people that are being led. That's what a leader is. You are actually a servant of the people. You are not leading people, but you are the voice and the ears of the people. That's what a leader is.
All right. That's your summation.
Yeah.
All right. I'll sum up my own view. This show was provoked by an earlier conversation on mentorship. And what is it that we can learn so that we have a shared understanding? That is between me and Mason, who were talking outside. One of the questions that came up, where does wisdom lie on the question of leadership? Who is a leader and who is not? what is a leader anyway? And what does leading mean? And this was part of this community building project around an idea called leadership. Is a president presumed or deemed to be a leader? Or is just one human being of flesh who is not capable of extending the number of hours in a day from 24 to 24 plus 1 minute or 1 second? Do we have the same thinking around the leader and our expectations? Because if we can't find each other on the idea of leadership, we are bound to be divided in terms of expectations. One will expect the so-called leader to know everything when actually the person knows nothing. One would expect a president to be a free person or a leader to be a free person, forgetting that the demands on this person in terms of time actually reduces his or her claim on freedom. That freedom is critical, but human life was created so that no one person can know that which they don't know. So life was designed to limit the individual's knowledge to what is possible and to allow things to happen without anyone controlling it. So that at the end of the day, each and every person alive makes choices and acts on the choices made. So if we cannot find each other on that, we can't make any progress. So if you're watching today or you watch later, you would be able to think and reflect and also open conversations among the people you know. If you wish to be part of this community where issues, not people, are central to the broadening and deepening of what must unite us, not divide us, because ignorance is a friend of prejudice. When people don't know that which they talk about or elect, then the outcome will always be divisive, because one person will claim to know better, to be a better leader, without digging deeper as to what a leader is and what a leader is not. So thank you very much for being part of this conversation. Hopefully it will provoke, ignite, and inspire you to be part of this community, if not, be an agent to ensure that a conversation on leadership, a leader, follower, and all the things that we associate with the poor souls who then carry the identity of leadership without knowing what all these followers actually think and want to be done, but there's no meeting place that can accommodate the universe of people whose lives may be waiting for this genius to be the face of leadership, if it does exist. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mawere.